Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Here I am with Flash, one of my pet cows, kind of my favourite, apart from Daisy. Anyway, it's been a hilarious time on Twitter because Henry Bolton, who was that scurrilous leader of UKIP for a while and ended up getting involved in lots of scandal, has been triggered by an interview with Armando Iannucci because he was getting real about Brexit.
I think a lot of people now are saying Brexit was shit. And, some of us who said that at the time don't want to kind of talk about it.
Vindicated, perhaps.
Well, it's horrible because actually, the results, which is, what did you expect if you kind of looked at your largest trading partner and went, no, I think we'll trade with New Zealand. Look at the map. It's that basic. But no, we want our blue passports. And, but I think a lot of people, and including, and this is the important bit, a lot of people who did vote for Brexit are now going, okay, I did it as a protest, or I was, convinced by the argument. It's gone wrong. What we're doing about it. But actually the whole subject has been sat on by all the parties, indeed by the media. There isn't a report on BBC News or ITV going, a lot of people are upset by Brexit, but it doesn't seem to be coming up in any of the manifestos. Why? It's so I think people feel frustrated about all this, and then watch these kind of debating games about £2,000 tax thing over 4 years, and it wasn't the Treasury, but if I just keep saying it often enough, people will go, oh well, he said it 5 times now, so it must be true.
And Henry Bolton went into a massive tirade and a rant about Brexit and how it was everyone else's fault that Brexit failed. The political leaders, of which he doesn't seem to recognise he was one, and he admits that there was no plan for Brexit, and there should have been a plan, but he still voted and pushed for Brexit, even though he knew there was no plan, and he didn't offer a plan either. He also brings Nigel Farage into the frame and everybody else. And it just shows where we are with Brexit, and it's where we've always been with Brexit, which is that it was based on a fantasy. It was lies, and everyone who accepts that, who can turn around and say, I now accept I was wrong about Brexit, is incredibly capable of managing their own decision-making processes. But people like Henry Bolton and many other people who believed in Brexit cannot admit that they were wrong. And that is the fundamental problem. So if we make this comparison to the Iraq War, when Tony Blair went into Iraq, polls showed a huge majority backed him doing that. And as soon as it became evident that it was a disaster, the polls dropped for support for Iraq dramatically and drastically. And then most people actually, when they were polled again, claimed that they never backed the Iraq War. So in their own mind, they decided to change history so that they couldn't or didn't have to admit that they were wrong. And I think that's ultimately where we are with Brexit.
It seems that this debate, argument about whether or not Brexit was a success is still going on. Maybe the Remainers, the rejoiners, call them what you will, the people who simply couldn't accept the democratic mandate provided to the government in the referendum, perhaps they've been encouraged by Keir Starmer's poor leadership and his capitulation to anybody outside the United Kingdom, whether it's Mauritius or Brussels. But the reality is that Brexit, the act of leaving the European Union, in and of itself was going to deliver nothing except opportunity. The failure is not a failure of the principle of being self-governing, of determining our own future, making our own bespoke decisions about how best to exploit the opportunities that face us and deal with the challenges that confront us. The failure was that the government, whether you go back to Theresa May or Boris Johnson or any of the Prime Ministers since, or Nigel Farage and the Brexit Party, they didn't have a plan. There was no plan for Nigel, so don't look to Nigel for an answer to this, because there was no plan. There was no vision. There was no, what do we want to achieve, 20 to 25 years from now? How do we want to be seen as a nation? How do we want to be, is the objective more confidence, optimism, prosperity and security for the United Kingdom and the British people? Well, of course it should be. But then how do you achieve that? What are all the implications of Brexit? None of that was worked out. None of it was mapped out. Not by anybody. Now, I had the discussion with the most senior level of Brexiteers. And I was told, Henry, I don't do detail. Nobody's interested in the detail. Well, now we're paying the price for that. So pack up this ridiculous, puerile argument as to whether or not Brexit has been a success and start focusing on, because it's still not too late, on what the opportunities are, identifying them, mapping them out and figuring out how we're going to exploit them. That's what the government should be doing. That's what every damn politician in this country should be doing. And it's what the public should be demanding that they do. Because all the time that they don't, we're sitting here in some sort of fudge, whether it's over the Irish border or whether it's over trade details or whether it's over security arrangements and cooperation with our European partners and friends. And of course we should be cooperating on our areas and collaborating on areas of mutual interest. But that's what we've got to do. And this whole bloody argument as to whether or not Brexit has been a success, of course it hasn't fully yet, because nobody has engaged on it properly. Not May, not Johnson, not Farage, none of them. That's the problem here.
If Henry Bolton recognised that Brexit needed a plan, why did he back Brexit, which he acknowledged never had a plan? It's like deciding to go to explore the North Pole without a plan, getting dangerously lost and blaming everyone for not having a plan. Today in The Times, David Smith highlights the UK's persistent growth problem. This is unsurprising given that we are still beleaguered with Brexit leprosy thanks to Keir Starmer's disastrous red Brexit lines. The budget, however, did deliver a sugar rush to the public sector, which is presumably why the latest YouGov polling shows 12% are happy with the Starmer government, but 56% are not. It seems that Keir Starmer is leading the most unpopular incoming government of all time, and that is incredibly disappointing because we all hoped for change in this last election. Here's Black Beauty. Only 17% want an American trade deal, and 68% of people want to get back closer to Europe, and they're happy to join the single market for the financial benefits of that. And it makes absolutely no sense as to why at this stage Keir Starmer is allowing Peter Mandelson, has appointed Peter Mandelson as US ambassador, who has agreed that he's going to work with Nigel Farage to deliver a disastrous USA trade deal, which will make rejoining the European Union nigh on impossible because of the need to accept lower standard goods and the deregulation that will unfold. I haven't got any apples, Flash, I'm sorry. I'll go and get you some, okay? I'll go and get you some. What happened this morning, Spence?
What happened this morning? I was in the local garage queuing up for me bacon roll in hot chocolate. Went to go and pull my wallet out of my pocket and pay, and all of a sudden this man behind me piped up and said, "Oh no, don't worry, I'll get that for you." So I looked around thinking, "Oh, what's going on here?" And he said, "Oh, you're a farmer." He said, "I really appreciate what you do for the countryside, and people just don't understand what it's like, do they?" I said, "Oh, I can't let you pay for that." He goes, "No, I insist." So I shook his hand and said, "Oh, thank you very much. That really means a lot." He also said that he's going to do away with shopping at supermarkets, and he's going to fund his food locally and support local farmers and farm shops. I thought, fair play to the bloke. It's just what we need.